From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm News Channel 5's political analyst, Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. The members of the 110th Tennessee General Assembly have been chosen by the voters. And while they don't begin their work until January, they're already selecting their leaders. That includes Nashville Representative Beth Harwell, who's been chosen again by her colleagues in the Republican supermajority to begin her fourth term as Speaker of the House. She's our guest on Inside Politics this week. Welcome, thank you, and congratulations, Madam
Thank you
Speaker.
very much.
Now, you're up to 74 members in your caucus out of 99 members. Do you ever feel like Mother Hubbard, or do you feel more like somebody who's trying to manage a mold silly putty?
Yeah, well, it's a great group. They're 74 members strong. They all come from a wide diversity of districts across the state, and my job is to try to get them all on the same page.
Now, you won renomination. You did have opposition. The secret ballot went 40-30 in your favor over Jimmy Madlock of Lenore City. That was closer than you thought, right? Closer than most people thought. No,
I thought it was a very good race. I think it indicates that Jimmy's a great guy and that our caucus has some wonderful opportunities. Now the opportunity now lies within leadership within the Republican Party, so I had expected that.
Now, in your remarks to the members after you were renominated, you mentioned this past year had been a tough one on the Hill. What in particular were you thinking about?
Well, it has been. You know, when you become the supermajority, you're not just a political party. You are the governing party of the state, and so it behooved us to accomplish a lot for this state, and we did. When you reflect back on what we've done in these 6 years being supermajority, it is amazing. The taxes we have reduced and eliminated, the reform we have done to unemployment compensation and workers' comp, amazing.
There was also the Jeremy Durham situation. He was ousted ultimately over some issues about sexual harassment. Is that one of the things that made this a much tougher year?
Well, it was, because that was a difficult situation, never been navigated by our state before, and I'm actually very proud of how it was handled. I claim victory there. I think we did the right thing for the citizens of this state, the taxpayers of this state, and women of this state.
Was this your toughest re-election, not just to be Speaker, but to be re-elected to the House? You served for a number of years in the Davidson delegation, but this year you had to, it seemed to me, not only campaign harder, but spend more money, particularly on TV.
I never take an election for granted. I've always worked every election that I've had, and especially when it is a presidential election, it draws out more voters. And so, yes, absolutely, I worked hard for the votes that I received.
In light of only getting 40 votes, you need 50 to be elected when the full House comes together. Are you going to have to reach out to some of those who didn't vote for you, and you probably know that, although it was a secret ballot? Or are you going to even have to reach out to Democrats in order to get to 50?
No, I don't believe so, but I will reach out to members all the time. They understand that my door is always open to them, both Democrats and Republicans alike.
Now, you had ethics charges brought against you by some of your opponents twice over the last year, though they were both all dismissed. But some of those people who may be coming back are members, are going to be on committees. Some of them may be committee chairs. Will there be consequences for their opposition as you put those committees together for this year?
You know, they were unfounded accusations. The person that brought them is the same person that wanted to impeach Governor Haslam. This is the same person that wanted
and
the
he's
state
not coming back.
Right, and he wanted to declare war, the state of Tennessee, a war on Muslims. I mean, this is just a man that is just unfounded.
But one of the knocks on you as being leader over the years is that you're very, very nice. In fact, some people think you're too nice. So this time you're going to continue to govern the House the way you have in the past. You're not going to be tougher or a little bit meaner?
You know what? I try to reflect what I think Tennesseans would like to see in their elected officials, which is sound, kind government, and that's what I try to present.
Now, your opposition is not quitting. I saw a story in the Washington Times, I think it's also been here in Nashville and Tennessee, and where the head of the Tennessee Firearms Association is calling for your ouster from leadership. What have you done to get at odds with the gun folks?
I think the National Rifle Association supports me. I think that I have a firm background of being supportive of the Second Amendment rights, but I'm not an extremist, and so that might be what that is about.
Now, the Firearms Association leader called you a pink elephant in the room. Now, does that go beyond a policy disagreement? That almost sounds like a slur or a slander on your gender.
You know, I don't really comment on those type of things. That's just, it is what it is.
Now, you won re-election earlier this month, somewhat easily, still in double digits. It was a rematch against Democrat Chris Moth. But it seemed to me you spent a whole lot more money than you normally did in the past for this, and you ran TV, which is unusual. Unusual for any house.
No, I've run TV in the past in my elections to the State House.
2 different ads?
Not two different ads, but I've always run an ad. And you know what? I feel very good about what we did and the message that I presented to the public, and I'm very proud of the margin in which I won.
One of the ads was about the Jeremy Durham situation, how you handled it.
Yes.
Did you feel that you needed to reassure or inform the voters about what you did? Did you find in your polling as you went in that perhaps they didn't fully understand what your role had been in that process?
I did not find that in the polling, but I felt like the public needed to know that I did everything I could to ensure a safe workplace for the women that work in the legislature.
You also had a very glowing ad from the governor talking about how he enjoys working with you and how effective you've been as a leader. Did you ask him to do the ad, or did he volunteer?
The governor has always been supportive, and I've always been supportive of him. He's been a wonderful governor for this state. It is amazing what we have been able to accomplish with him as our governor.
Now, the governor's job approval numbers remain very strong, even if you compare them across the country. But while that ad was running, it was a time that the governor spoke out and asked Donald Trump, who's now the president-elect, not to stay on the Republican ticket. You had that ad up on the air. I've been told that did not go over well in a lot of Republican circles, what the governor said. Did that give you any second thoughts about that ad?
No, I think the governor took the stand he did based on his moral principles. I supported the Republican nominee. There will always be differences, and when you are the supermajority party, there will be differences.
As I recall, during the campaign this past fall, you basically said you were supporting the Republican nominee for president. So does that mean you voted for Donald Trump in November?
Yes.
You did, and that was not a problem for you to do that.
Oh, of course it was. I don't think there's anyone in America that was pleased with who the nominees were in both the Democrat or Republican ticket. But we were where we were, and we had to make a decision.
Now, the governor will also be bringing forth his programs for later in the year. You always try to work with him on most of those. Do you think there are any problems among your caucus members about the governor, and particularly what he said about Donald Trump, that will still be a problem for him as he pushes his plan through the legislature?
Well, I think there's repercussions for every decision that's made, but ultimately I think my members care deeply about the state of Tennessee and want to continue to see our state move forward.
Now, during the Jeremy Durham controversy, you appointed a blue ribbon panel to review the legislature's policies and procedures regarding sexual harassment issues. You and then Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey put those recommendations from that blue ribbon policy group into law or into effect for both houses. So what will be different this term than what's happened before with these new policies? Will women feel safer on the Hill because of this?
I hope so. In the State House, we have adopted a policy, and I thank the Nashville Rape and Sexual Abuse Center for offering free of charge to us counseling for any person in the General Assembly that would like to go to them. That we've never had that before, and I think that's a positive thing. We will have much more transparency in the reporting process. Keep in mind, this is a difficult issue, and a lot of people that would come forward to explain what has happened to them do not want their name in the media. And so we've had to toe the line here. This is not just unique to the legislative process. This exists in our schools, in the private sector, to try to develop a policy where people feel safe to come forward, and yet we have transparency. We've come a long way in the state legislature.
House Speaker Beth Harwell is our guest on Inside Politics. She's been nominated for her fourth term as Speaker, 2-year term. Back to continue our conversation with him after this break.